We've got the greatest collection of direct marketing talent ever assembled in one room right here. So I applaud you. I know the DMA and other industry groups have more people at their conventions, but we've got the best right here. In fact, we have top direct marketing talent from every continent on the globe, except for the one lone cold exception of Antarctica, where they have more penguins than people. So, and the whole continent is melting anyway, so I think they got bigger things to worry about. But I want to thank you, Pauline, for that very nice introduction. And you know, this marks the 40th year that I've been a copywriter and the 40th year that I'm married to Pauline. And there is a connection there in that Pauline was the inspiration for my greatest headline and offer ever. The headline was, "Will you marry me?" The offer was, "Two can live as cheaply as one." And I got 100% response. I grew up right across the river, right across the East River, in a rough and tumble section of Brooklyn called Crown Heights. And believe me, if I could make it from the rough streets of Crown Heights over here to the St. Regis, talking to the likes of you, the preeminent talent in direct marketing today, there's nothing that can stop you from being or doing or achieving anything in your lives that you want to do. But why this room? We could have had this seminar in any place, and I wanted it here as a statement about you, about me, and about the nature of aspiration. And that statement can be summed up in just 4 little words: why not the best? Why should the best be reserved for others? I know, and maybe this is the Brooklyn in me coming out. You know, the other boroughs are always second fiddle to Manhattan. And you can take the guy out of Brooklyn, but you can't take the Brooklyn out of the guy. So maybe we're always thinking of the best, and maybe some of you feel the same way, that sometimes the best is reserved for other people. But that's not so in a free society where we all have the chance to compete on an equal playing field, and we are all from free societies. You can achieve the best. You can do the best. So why not strive for the best? That's a philosophy I always share with my clients when I'm doing a project. And as Somerset Maugham, the great writer Somerset Maugham once said, it's a funny thing about life. When you refuse to accept nothing but the best, you very often experience it. And so that statement is just more than a slogan for me. I try to apply that with my clients and everything that we do, because there's no fun or great rewards long-term in mediocrity. So let's take the time to do things right. Part of that is having a vision of what you'd like to do before each activity, whether it's in marketing or copywriting or just life in general, having a very clear outcome of what you'd like to experience in any major activity. So, in other words, a breakthrough advertising campaign does not start writing headlines. It does not start with your research. It really starts with an intention to make it so. In 500 BC, the great military genius Sun Tzu, the great general of China, wrote a treatise called The Art of War. And he said, and by the way, The Art of War is a book that's studied in every major military college in the world today. And he said, the battle is won even before it is engaged. And a modern-day student of Sun Tzu has said, Bill Belichick, who is the winning coach in 3 of the last 4 Super Bowls, he said the Super Bowl is won long before the players take the field. And in the same way, a direct mail package becomes the new control even before the writer's fingers touch the keyboard. The space ad becomes a breakthrough even before the headline is written. The new product is a breakthrough even before its launch, if we have the intention to make it so. And in a similar fashion, the seminar becomes a life-changing experience even before it unfolds, if we all work together to make it so. So what is my vision for this seminar then, that I've thought through and would love you to experience? Well, my vision is tomorrow, late tomorrow afternoon, when your feet once again touch the sidewalks of New York after our last session together, after our cocktail party tomorrow, I would like you to feel almost lighter than air because you are so excited about the ideas that you've learned here and that we've shared together, and can't wait to apply them in your life, because I don't want this to be what I call a suntan seminar, where you have a warm glow for 3 days and then it sort of fades away and you're back to wherever you were before. Because the only way this will be of value in your life is if you make notes of the good ideas that you hear and then put them into practice. And we'll get into a lot of that as we move ahead. How to do that, the habits of winning. I like to use sports analogies, and the great football coach Vince Lombardi once said that everybody knows his famous quote that winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. And I know many of us copywriters face that pressure when we have to write a winning package. But he also said, a much less known quote, much less well known, is that winning is a habit, and so, unfortunately, is losing. And so one of the things that I'll be talking about is how to develop the habits of a winner in whatever field of life you are engaged. But since most of us here in marketing, how do we apply those winning habits to producing winning products? Again, getting back to the talent that is in this room, imagine how wonderful it could be if we all shook hands tomorrow afternoon and formed a corporation where we were all even-Steven partners in a new direct marketing corporation. The talent in this room, and we have the extraordinary copywriters, superstar designers, best list brokers, the incredible entrepreneurs who've achieved mega-million-dollar businesses in direct marketing, and on marketing managers, and they're all right here. So imagine if we could have a corporation, we would rule the direct marketing world for years, if not decades. Of course, that's not going to happen because we all have our prior commitments, and I would nevertheless like to try to capture a little bit of that feeling. I'd like us all to relate to one another as members of an elite all-star team, and that we're all deserving of each other's mutual and kind respect, just as it would be on an all-star team. And if you are the all-star team, that means I get to be the coach. I should be wearing a whistle, I guess. If you misbehave, I'll make you do laps around this beautiful room. But I mean that in another way as well, in that the principles that I will be sharing are as powerful and as reliable as the laws of gravity or electricity. They don't depend on me applying them or you applying them. If you apply them, they will work. If you don't apply them, they won't work. And as I'll explain later, I was quite a mediocre copywriter, really, for the first about 8 or 9 years of my career, until I learned a system that I'm going to be sharing with you, and a system that I've helped refine with some other very talented direct marketing people. And I say that, it's not really humility, my saying that. I really was a mediocre copywriter. As you may have guessed if you read my sales letters or the sales letters of other copywriters, as a group, we are not burdened by false modesty. But so when I tell you that I was mediocre for the first 7 or 8 years of my career, you can believe it. In fact, if anything, it might be a stretch on the upside, where that's a compliment to what I was doing in those days. So the system that I'm going to teach you and the components really will apply irrespective of my personality or anyone else. And that is important because don't judge them by what I've done or not done in my life. Just as, say, a coach Angelo Dundee, who was a great boxing trainer, he could not last in the ring with a top-ranked heavyweight more than, say, 15 seconds. But he knew how to bring the best out of Muhammad Ali and make him the greatest. So look at me in that light. Don't judge me by what I may have done or not done. There are entrepreneurs in this room who have done incredible things. But we're not comparing anyone to each other, including me, because the only one that you should ever compete with in any activity is yourself. If you could be a little bit better next week than you were this week, well, then you are succeeding. And that's how I view my career and ambition. I try not to compete with anyone else, because then I try to be more like them if I have too much of my focus on someone else. I want to be the best I can be, and if I can improve 1% a week, I'm happy. So that's how we will relate to one another. Okay, so if I'm the coach, what are the pages from Gary's playbook? There we are. We'll get to explaining these as I go through the seminar, but just to give you an overview, one of the things, as I just mentioned, is the 1% weekly improvement. You don't have to improve your abilities 50% in 1 week. That's too hard. It's too high a goal. What you want to do is just try to improve 1% per week in whatever you're doing, whether you're playing the guitar or the piano or trying to be a better copywriter or marketer. If you can increase your ability 1% per week, that means that in a year, you're at least 50% better than you are today. In 2 years, you're 100%. And over time, that really compounds. And you do become a superstar. If you started as a superstar, you become incredible at that rate of improvement. And it's very easy to do. One of the tools that, in doing that, is what I recommend is my Add a Day program. Every single day you should, no matter what else you'd have to get done in that day, read a good ad, or at least a piece of a good ad, and so that you're always keeping that in your consciousness about what really great advertising is. We'll get more into that later. I'll also get into something called the Great Fisherman's Secret and how that can help you in marketing. The Bencivenga persuasion equation, which gets to that system that I told you about, a very reliable system for taking direct response breakthroughs out of the realm of the occasional and haphazard and unpredictable, and bringing the whole process into a very predictable and repeatable mechanism. Also, you'll learn the secret of master closers. The Pareto principle, a very important management tool also for marketers, where in any activity, a very few number of factors will usually yield the vast number of results. It's normally known as the 80-20 rule. So what I'm going to be doing is, through this 40-year career that I've enjoyed, just isolating so that we don't get confused by all of the different techniques that we can apply. We're just going to identify the real few that will give you the outsized proportion of your results, 80%, 90%. Just rely on doing a few things right, and that's what we're going to really put the focus on. We will talk about copywriters and marketers and designers, everyone in the room can make more money, how to use all of the tools that we're talking about, not just to achieve great things for others, but to enjoy the rewards yourself. And part of that is manifesting your own desires. We'll get into that tomorrow. Whereas marketers, that's what we are. We are alchemists of desire. We want to help other people intensify, clarify, and then fulfill their desires. And you get a tremendous boost in your ability to do that once you know a little bit more about how to fulfill your own desires. And there are some very interesting techniques I'll share on that. Okay, so we're about to get started. Just a couple of housekeeping points. As Pauline mentioned, we are taping the seminar, and all of you will receive videotape copies of the seminar. Technically, we won't give them to you. We're going to license them to you. Jay Abraham, who sends you all his regards, he wishes he could have been here, but he, I think, had to be in Malaysia. And a typical Jay Abraham offer, he offered me $10,000 to rehearse over the phone with him. I said, Jay, I can't rehearse over the phone. I got a stiff neck, first of all, for 2 days over the phone. He came up with a few other alternatives, but but anyway, he said, well, then you have to tape it so I can eventually get a set of the tapes. And the way he said, in his seminars, he used to give them away to his seminar attendees, and then he would see them on eBay being sold for $100. So you might pay $25,000 to go to a Jay Abraham seminar, and then a week later, the same seminar would be for sale on eBay for maybe $500. So he said that the way to avoid that is just license everything, so that you'll be everything you receive here, use it forever, your own enjoyment, your own education. But I just say, out of fairness to me and to all the people who have paid full price to be here, you're not allowed to sell them to anyone else. They're, in effect, we retain the ownership. But you can have them forever, train your staff with them, that's fine. So you don't have to feverishly take notes for 2 days. And what I would recommend, if you do like to take notes of the most important points, and so that you can get a head start, because we won't be able to produce the videos for a while. It takes, want to edit the transcript or whatever. And so you want to go home with some good notes that you can put into practice immediately. I know there are people who've come from great distances. I know Curtis Tuck, I think, where is Curtis? He probably deserves not Curtis. overcoming the greatest obstacle of war, because Curtis works in Saudi Arabia, and you'll have no idea what this man had to go through to get out of the country safely and make his way over to here. And so, but many of you have come from great distances. So I'm going to ask for just the next 30 seconds. This is not like an official break, but just for 30 seconds, if you could just look around, and if there's someone who you don't know, just introduce yourself so that everybody here can feel at home, because there's some people who've come whole continents away by themselves. I'd like everybody to feel welcome. So if you could just turn around and just see if somebody you don't know, introduce yourself.